Today we're going to be working on an '09 Infiniti G37 Sport convertible. This Infiniti has been wrecked and then put together poorly in the back, and so we'll be replacing the subframe. First, you got to get started putting it on jacks. There's 4 jack points where there is a bump on the bottom of the car right inside. There's a little lip. I'll try to see if I can see that. See that where the jack's at. Kind of just have to get under there, look, and feel around for it.
Next step is to take off the exhaust bolts so you can lower the exhaust. The bolts are the same on both sides. Mine are rusted, so I'm going to hit them with some WD-40 or penetrating oil. I'd recommend doing the same unless yours are in pristine condition. Once we hit that, then we're either going to have to take this part off right here to get the exhaust down, and I'll show you the rest of the brackets once I get to them. My exhaust is not factory exhaust this far back, so it may look a little different on your Infiniti or Nissan, but it's really the same concept. So we took the hangers off right there from there and just slid it off, and same with right there if you need to. So it sits like that. If you need to, just slide a screwdriver behind it and just pry it out this way. And now we're going to do the same in the back. There you can see there's one hanger. Okay, so you got 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there. Sorry, let me see if I can brighten this up. You got a bolt there and a bolt there. These are all 12 millimeters. You got one there and there. And then you're supposed to have another 2 over here. Whoever put this car back together did not put the other back in.
So here's the exhaust, all taken out.
And as you can see, we have a lot more room to play with. Next step is going to be taking off this plate, so that, and this plate right here, so that we can get the drive shaft out of the vehicle. Yeah. We've got a bolt here, here, on this part, and over here we've got these tiny bolts here. We got 4 of them. There, there, and there. They look like either 8 or 10 millimeters. And these ones over here that I first pointed out look like they're 10s. Sorry guys for the varying video quality. We got, we're going to disconnect the drive shaft here in the middle. Here and here, there's 4 of these bolts. It's the same here and there. What you have to do is do 2 of them, and then with the parking brake on and the car in gear, and then you take the car out of gear, put it neutral, take the parking brake off, this thing will rotate very easily, and then you'll put the parking brake back on, put it back in gear, and then take the other two out. And then it looks like we're going to also have to do these also. These are 17 millimeter, and it's same down here. We're going to remove these 14 millimeter bolts. And make sure you have something to support the drive shaft, or the upper part of the drive shaft, I'll call it. When you do let it go, you don't just want to have it dangling. Okay, we got the drive shaft out now, so we ended up just taking it out, straight out of the transmission. I know some people watching this probably were like, hey, you're an idiot for not just doing that. It actually came apart into two pieces once we had it out from under the car. You can do whatever way is easiest for you. And next, we already took the bolts off on the sway bar. There are 3 on each side, or there's 2 bolts and a nut right there. They're 14 millimeter. And then you see on the other side, and then over there. You may need to hold on to the back or hold on to it with a pair of pliers after you undo the nut enough. Okay, so we've got, we're going to be removing these to drop the differential. These are 17 millimeter. And then we got 14 millimeter over here to disconnect the, can't think of the name, but these arms right here on both sides. Okay, so we were removing these 14 millimeters bolts. What you got to do, it helps if you have a second person, and you can rotate the wheel to be able to access the right ones, because this is the best spot for the clearance for a ratchet. Do one at a time. Put the parking brake down, rotate it, parking brake back up. It may also be helpful if you need to loosen these before you take off your drive shaft, just in case some of these are on pretty good, or in case your brakes are not very good. That way you can put the transmission in gear and keep it from turning.
I'm in the middle of taking out the rear spring. Took the 17 millimeter bolt out on one end, or undid the 17 millimeter while holding the 19 millimeter wrench on the other hand. I had to hammer out the bolt because I couldn't get it jacked up in the right way to get it out. Be very careful as the spring is compressed. I use this tool from AutoZone. Not totally using it correctly because there's 2 sides. I don't know how you get both sides on, because it doesn't appear like there's clearance to get them on with this lip, because it's just this long bar, there's not enough room to get it on there. But I put a jack under it so we can try to just lower this spring, or lower this part right here to undo or release the tension on the spring. So we'll give it a shot.
So we did get this bolt out and got this down. I think a lot of the tension from the spring was taken off just by having the car on jacks and off the ground. This is a 17 millimeter bolt. I had to use my breaker bar to get it loose. It's a 19 on the other side, and going to get that loosened up. And after we get that loosened up, we do need to, we've got the parking brake cable. We got to take it, unattach it from the subframe right there, and then unattach it from the steering knuckle, or not steering knuckle, the hub assembly right there. After we undid the 12 millimeter bolt holding on the parking brake cable, and I released the, or took out the 14 millimeter bolt up here. That gave us enough slack to where once we do get ready to take the subframe out, I also slid it off its bracket right here, or told her, gave us enough slack to where we are going to be able to get the subframe out without messing with taking the parking brake cable off. Next we removed the nut on the upper A arm. To remove it, 17 millimeter nut, 17 millimeter bolt on the other end. Easiest way to do it is to slide the ratchet down this way. There's not enough room to put a breaker bar in from this end. Sorry, I skipped a few steps. So first off, I took my brake caliper off. Let's do 17 millimeter bolts. I probably should have done it earlier on, but it looks like to get the subframe out, I gotta at least take off one side suspension assembly, and the shock comes off with, there's two 12 millimeter nuts that just come undone. Make sure you got something to support this, because as soon as those come undone, the whole thing's just gonna drop, this whole assembly. So now we've got the subframe free. We just got to slide it straight down. So that's really the only way to do it, because of the four studs are coming straight down.